that model doesn't work anymore because AI has just ruined that whole model for all those people. They don't realize they're dead. We're building a two-sided network. Most companies understand a one-sided network where they just provide the services or they're just getting paid, like being employment. But with a two-sided network, you have demand and you have supply. Today is July 13th, 2025. And the demand is coming from our ICP, Ideal Client Profile, which is a local service business in a Google LSA category. And the reason why we like LSA is because Google's designed everything around that, and it's high ticket, and these are dentists and plumbers and real estate agents and roofers and electricians, and there's tens of thousands of the same thing in every city. And thus, if we can do it for one dentist, we can do it for many other dentists. Everything's very repeatable because they're selling a high ticket service instead of like a restaurant where it's like a $30 ticket. They're selling like a $2,000 or $14,000 HVAC replacement. Then it's easy to follow the template to rank in local service ads, rank in Google ads, rank in SEO. We can link them together with our geo-vertical grid and other sorts of things that create a repeatable model that tie in because we have these lighthouses. So a lighthouse is someone that all these guys respect. So we have the lighthouses where we have Roger Wakefield, who's a plumber, or we have Glenn Vo, who's a dentist, or we have
Tommy Mello. Any help?
Yeah, so many of them, garage door. We have a lot of them, right? And because we've done it for these guys, all the people that follow them want to do the same thing too. So it just, some people call this influence or whatever you want to call it, but we have lots and lots of documented examples with the folks that these guys trust, which is beautiful. And then there's all kinds of repurposing we've got to do with that content. So these local service businesses, in order to come into the middle, they have to qualify. Actually, before they even qualify, they've got to consume all this content. They have to demonstrate they have pain, and then they can basically come into, let's just call this the equivalent of the emergency room. Emergency room meaning they're coming in. We didn't go knock on their door. They came in here, they're in pain, and whenever someone comes into the emergency room, we get their metrics, get their blood, x-ray, skin temperature, all these things to determine what's going on. And that leads to analysis where we determine what's broken and what the pain is, what's causing the pain, more importantly, and then the action, which is the treatment plan, which is also known as gathering the diagnostic metrics, doing the diagnosis, figure out what's wrong, and then here's the treatment plan. So the medical thing. And whether they're, let's just call these apprentices. And then there's a lighthouse over here. And how much power do we have with all the different lighthouses over here? Well, we have you guys. So who are the ones that everyone respects? Dylan Haugen and Jake Paul and all these other sorts of, we've got lots of these people, okay, on both sides. And when we do $1 a day against this content, that drives more people into our process, right? And then if we come out on this side, they've got to qualify. So in the same way, they have to repurpose a video and they have to make a 1-minute video themselves. Why two things? Well, repurposing shows that they can demonstrate GCT, understanding of that particular video. And I think the AI tools will get to the point where they can pretty much do all that. So they have to make a 1-minute video because in order for them to do things that the AI can't, they have to demonstrate client skills, empathy, relationships, just general ability to communicate. When people make a 1-minute video, they can't fake their way with the AI. Because this other stuff, when they submit stuff, the way the AI can generate resumes and submit stuff, it's like, did an AI write this? 99% of people applying for jobs, it's just AI nonsense. I don't even want to deal. And then they argue that it wasn't AI, and then they, okay, whatever. So we want to see that they're real human and they can communicate. And they don't have to have perfect English, but they have to have excellent English, right? Because ultimately, in a two-sided network, they are going to be moving towards talking with these clients and with other folks in the network, where if you're going to train up other people that are also young adults, like Dylan, you have Henry and other folks, it's not an MLM, but you've got to demonstrate some level of leadership, some level of communication skills. So these two things I think will always be the case. The AI tools will get better and better. We can make more examples on, hey, what is it like? So imagine some young adult, they say, hey, I want to be an AI apprentice. Okay, well, what's driving it? Is it because your parents are paying for it instead of college and they see that this is a great thing? The homeschooling thing, right? If I'm a homeschooler, I believe that my kids need a leg up because the public school system sucks, or because college is not enough, or because I want to pay for tutoring because I want them to get better test scores, because I want them to have a better future, right? So this is parents driven, and then there's self-driven. So some people go to college themselves and they pay for their own tuition, but usually it's the parents that are paying, or the government's paying, or something like that. So there's a reason for this, and then they come in and metrics, analysis, action to be able to qualify. Now, if the parents are paying, they're paying for services, so we're going to provide some help to help them qualify. Like, we'll basically make sure they qualify. And then if they then don't do the MAA, then it's still on them, right? But we'll help them because someone's paying. If they're self-qualifying and they're not paying to come in, then we're not going to provide any of those services because it doesn't make sense. So it's still the same thing. It's just whether we're going to give them a little bit of help along the way. Still the same program, still the same standards, where there's that MAA that comes in weekly, right? And when we iterate multiple times, then it's almost impossible not to generate results for that local service business on this side. And that's the beauty of it, is you get multiple shots on goal. You could be blind and suck at basketball, but if I let you shoot hundreds of free throws, you're gonna make one. And that's why MAA is many shots on goal. It's like the most risk-free, risk-eliminating system out there. And this is the whole 6-phase process, which we call the social amplification engine, which is really the content factory with one thing on either side, which is the digital plumbing, content factory, and then this ongoing optimization, right? So it's digital plumbing, which we're always improving, which we're going to eventually automate, 4-stage content factory, and then ongoing optimization, which is really just MAA, metrics, analysis, action, right? And that way we're guaranteed, if there's a weekly update, that's a heartbeat to know that action's taken. And then there's the whole number one mistake, MISTAKE, in MAA, which is them just pasting in metrics but not actually thinking, like the analysis is missing. And we have training on that, obviously. Any problem that we see along the way, we make training about that. That way we can overcome it and self-qualify. Same thing, local service businesses, they come in, and actually, before we go back over here, so this is the number one mistake in MAA. Then all these people who are qualifying, they make the number one, what we've called the number one VA mistake. But actually, it's not even just VAs, it's just like anybody, which is lack of thinking. If you can't, I mean, this whole thing here in qualifying is just to determine whether people can think or not, versus just push it through the AI and then claim that their IQ's high. So there's a number of videos we want to make today to talk about this. From the standpoint of Dylan or Jack saying, hey, you're a young adult, you want to be certified because you want to be an AI apprentice or whatever you want to call it. Here's the path, here's what you need to do. The viewpoint to the parents. Hey guys, we have this program. You want to train up your young adult? It's not just courses we're giving you access to. We have a whole academy with lots of courses, but it's weekly support. And we have a whole process where lots and lots of young adults have gone through this thing to be able to execute, to drive sales. Same program that we've done at Johns Hopkins and all these other universities. And we have the structure to make sure that the end result is this. Because we've done enough times, we can troubleshoot what the issues are. So it's worth it for you to buy it on behalf of a young adult. And maybe it's a VA that you have, maybe it's some other team member, it doesn't have to be your son or daughter, but you need someone to do your digital marketing because you're not going to do it and your agency certainly isn't going to do it. And then here's all the reasons why the agency model is broken, because the agency model is the waiter and the cook, or the salesperson and the car dealership and the mechanic, and that model doesn't work anymore because AI has just ruined that whole model for all those people. They don't realize they're dead, right? Anyone in the agency space who really knows what they're doing. They all know the agency model's dead. All the top agency guys have sold out because they don't want to be left holding the bag, and that's a whole nother thing, right? So this model is being heavily disrupted because the networks themselves, Google and Facebook and whatever, they're just automating away all the people in the middle so that they can get the ad dollars from over here. Because agency people, by definition, are middlemen, and they're not very efficient, and they waste money, and they overcharge, and there's a lot of nonsense, and there's no certification. Plumbers and real estate agents and pilots, like there's a real certification. So the whole thing with LSA, which is our pitch back over here, it mirrors this, is that if you're a roofer, you have to be licensed to be a roofer. And if you don't do a good job, then that homeowner can go to the city. That homeowner can go back to Google, because that's what a local service ad is. Like, oh, if they don't do a good job, Google says Google certified, Google guaranteed. If that dentist doesn't hurt you, or like whatever, there's liability, there's a process, there's training, there's certification. Like these people, our customers here who pay, understand that for them to become whatever it is, there's a license. And not just anybody can become a dentist, right? Oh, I'll just buy this stuff on Amazon and now I'm a dentist. Like, yeah. Oh, it's easy. I watch the YouTube videos, right? But that's what's going on over here. So we tell these people, you went to school to get certified, to learn how to do this. When you became a dentist, or you became a real estate agent, or you became whatever to get your license, you didn't just read some books. You had to work as an apprentice under someone who is a real estate agent who already has sold a lot of homes, and then they taught you how to do it until eventually you open up your own business to do that real estate thing or that electrical thing or whatever it is in your town. So if that's the way you operate, shouldn't the people that do your digital marketing also have a certification? What certification should they have? Probably ours, which is the best one out there. Because if you point to HubSpot or TikTok or Fiverr or all these other, there's a bunch of other places, they all point to our program. Point to digital, if you look at Digital Marketer, Social Media Examiner, they all point to our program. You look at all these universities, they point to our program. Why? Because we document everything. Who else has documented everything? Almost nobody. They hide it behind a magic secret. Learn how to do AI, $10,000, and we'll tell you what the secret is. Like, no, it's no secret. There's no secret to being a dentist, no secret to any of these other things. We publish all of them, keep publishing. All right, so these local service businesses, they come in, and just like these guys have to do some qualifying, these guys have to qualify, and they qualify through a quick audit. Now, if they are a local service business, then we probably should just run straight to this conversion engine package, which is a monthly retainer of $3,500. $3,500 a month makes sense because if they are at least $2 million a year, let's say, in gross revenue.
How do we decide at what point that they qualify and we're going to waive the fee before the audit even happens?
I think it's just how they come in. So we can decide if it's a qualified audience. Like if we speak at a conference of dentists, we'll just do it for free for everybody, right? Because that's a qualified audience. These people pay to come to a conference. They're already whatever, right? If it's just random people on the internet and they want to book a time, that way we're not just wasting our time, then they have to pay. So basically it's just like all these other guys out there where they say, here's the price, but sometimes there's a coupon code. So we'll just say, here's the price. And if we give it out for free, then we give them the coupon code for that organization. That way everyone understands their value. Because if we just make it free, then people are like, okay, it's just a sales call.
Yeah.
But if they see that it's $297, which is actually a low price, but then because they're a member of the National Association of whatever, that conference, and they do that thing, they get it for free, there's more perceived value.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we always want to show that there is that price. And then the conversion engine package is nothing more than us executing this thing here. So there's a parallel here because when that young adult comes in under the certification, they're the ones who are doing the work with our oversight. When that business owner comes in here, we're doing the work, potentially employing these young adults that are coming in, right? But we're doing it. So they're not, these people coming in, they don't have a young adult necessarily or whatever it is, they just want us to do it. And then we distribute as the, metrics analysis action, as these actions come through, we then distribute it to these young adults, which is the Uber matching, right? And all the, here's a rider, here's a driver, here's, match, take this guy to the airport, like all that kind of stuff, right? So the monthly package makes sense because we know that, let's just say someone is doing $2 million annually as a roofer, landscaper, HVAC. I think HVAC, plumbing HVAC is probably the best one for us, followed by dentists. Lawyers could be one, but that's a whatever. So $2 million annually is basically $160,000
Lawyers aren't very
monthly.
good clients.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's different categories of lawyers. So $83,000 a month is $1 million a year. So $2 million is 166. And we know that you should spend 10% of your gross income on marketing. So if you're doing $160,000 a month, then that translates to $16,000. If you're spending $16,000, $3,500 is our fee, which leaves room for advertising, right? So if they spend 10 grand in advertising plus this, they're well under the 10%. But if they are at, $50,000 a month, our fee is already at 8% of their total revenue.
Mm-hmm.
If they're at $20,000 a month in gross revenue, which is $240 a year, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually nothing. That's more of like a consultant. But if you have a real business, you're going to be doing several million a year, right? So I like to think of it as this fee, which is to us, which then distributes back over here and then some profit to us. That should be, in an ideal world, less than 1/3 of their total marketing. So if this is our fee and they spend, say, like, let's just for simple math, $6,500 in ads is $10,000 a month. And what we know with these businesses is that they don't really look at it as, okay, this much I'm spending where I'm giving you a fee and I'm giving Google some money. They look at the total number, right? So they like, okay, I'm spending $10,000 a month, but we don't say like, yeah, but we're only paying us $3,500. No, it's like the total. They want to look at the total investment because our recommendation here is ultimately advertising. But we have to do content factory and other stuff for that advertising to be effective. If we just go straight into running ads, it's just, we don't have digital plumbing, we can't optimize, we're wasting money, the landing page doesn't convert. That's why the thing with Flax, we have to make the VSL, right? Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Flax and I do cosmetic dentistry and I, make beautiful smiles and blah, 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 come talk to me, right? So we can spend money on ads on that if there's a place to actually send them to, and if we can actually track the phone calls and train their people to, there's all the stuff that has to happen that's beyond just the advertising that we have to do. So in some cases, you're going to have some clients where they're paying us this fee and then they're only spending a couple $1,000s a month in ads. Now a bad client would say, well, if I'm spending, $3,000 in ads and I'm spending $3,500 with you, I'm paying more than 100% management fee. And we'll say like, yeah, if it was just ad management, that would be the case. Typical ad management's like 15%. Someone spends 10 grand, you might charge them 1,500. Yeah, but if ad management's 15% and I'm only spending 10 grand, I'm spending 10 grand on ads, why are you charging me 3,500? You're charging me 35% of my 10,000 ad spend. You guys are ripping me off, right? So that means if someone says something like that, that means we didn't onboard them properly. So they understand that we're executing this whole system and managing the ads is just one component because there's fixing the site, there's doing the SEO, there's doing analytics, there's editing the content. There's like all this other stuff that has to happen independent of just tweaking the ads. In the same way, if we help someone come in and get them a knowledge panel, somebody might say, and some people have, they've commented on my Facebook post, they'll say like, well, it only took like 40 minutes on a Zoom call to go through that whole thing to claim the knowledge panel and I got it the next day. How can you charge $6 grand for that? That's a total ripoff. You should charge like $50 for that because it only took, 40 minutes. Well, yeah. If that was the only thing that was necessary is that one Zoom call. But all the other stuff that has to happen with collecting the content, creating content, organizing it, building your website, talking you through it, sorting out all these other issues because there's always these other things we have to solve. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for that expertise, right? Same way you go to a dentist, you can throw it back on them, whatever their thing is. You go to the dentist and it's, whatever the fee is. You're only seeing that dentist for like 5 minutes. But you were there in the office 2 hours because they had to take x-rays and the nurse had to do some stuff to clean your teeth and like other stuff that the dentist didn't do, right? So there's all this other stuff. So if we set expectations and we have all this training out here showing how we do all this stuff, we're never going to get this issue of, I don't understand what you guys are doing for the $3,500 a month, right? And it rarely happens because if we've qualified these people, there's so much trust in here. They're not going to nitpick on what exactly, okay, well, I know you did all this work in the first couple months, but in the last week, I haven't really seen a lot of stuff come from you guys. Like, I need to like chase you guys every week to make sure everyone's working every single day. Like, you don't want people like that, right? Those people are just, they're the ones who actually don't pay anything. The less they pay, the more they want, and you know, that kind of thing. The people who pay a lot of money, they just keep paying, which is great. Okay, so we're making a lot of stuff for these businesses that come in, knowledge panel stuff. Hey, so for people to come in here, there's, you know, what is your reputation worth? If you don't have much of a reputation, there's not much to multiply, so it's not worth investing the 6K. But if reputation's important, like you're a deal maker, it's probably important. If people are Googling you and you're selling a high ticket service, probably important. You've got a $10 million a year roofing business, like, yeah, it's probably worth it, right? So all these other guys, is your reputation valuable enough? Then they come through our scoring tool, right? Which is the same parallel here, metrics, analysis, action. Your confidence score is, 23. There's 30 other people with the same name. There's, a negative result because you got in trouble for a DUI or whatever it is, right? It's the same kind of thing. And then, here's the package. This one-time knowledge panel package, once we get them the knowledge panel and we explain what that is, because the knowledge panel is just a thing along the way, but really it's the reputation that we're enhancing. But this is just like one indicator along the way. Then we can move over into the conversion engine package. And it can also go both ways. When their business is growing, like Sal, who's the plumber, his business is growing. I think he's like 80,000 a month, 90,000 a month. Once he gets up to like 150, 160,000 a month, which means he's hiring more people, which is what he's doing, then he can come back over here. He's not ready for this knowledge panel package, but I think in 6 to 8 months he will be. So there's 3 main packages. One, this knowledge panel package, which Jack and I have made a ton of content on. We can distribute that just like we teach, practice. We put it out there and start running ads against it. More people are going to come through. We will close the ones who are qualified in the emergency room, right? There's no selling. We're just diagnosing. They came to us, right? We can spend money on ads to then cause them to come to us. That's still inbound, even if we're spending money on ads. Distribute a book. We got to publish a book. Hopefully we get that done today. We can run to the AI, get your book done, upload to Amazon, upload it for ebooks, right? Then we have enough lighthouses that we can create books against each of these lighthouses, which are all like 80, 90% done. And that way we're selling the exact same package, plumber, electrician, dentist, whatever, same package. We're just changing the cover for the dentist. We're just changing the words to be dentist terminology. We're just changing the examples to be dentist this and dentist that. But it's the exact same thing, same phases, same reports, just same template landing page, but skinned. And all the stuff on how we reskin, it's the same thing over and over again, no matter what the name is. And so we have this thing called the Design Strategy course, which has a 90-minute video where I explain any one of these documents, we can just reskin over and over again. Same thing. Other people who don't understand, then they go off and build something new, and then we have to explain, like, why are you reinventing the wheel and causing vandalism, that kind of thing. But this can be done for the landscapers, for the dentists, for the what, and the more examples, the more documentation, then the more we can use that lighthouse, right? And so this naturally grows itself. I happen to really like plumbers and HVAC because I think that's arguably the easiest one to do. And we've got a great example, but we're not documenting what we're doing for that guy, so we're not getting more plumbing leads. And I've made videos and all this kind of stuff with the #1 plumber in America, Roger Wakefield, who's well known and now is an influencer, whatever, and we've not really leveraged that kind of stuff. That's where interactive videos, all these other things we've done, Then this here, number 3 is, let's just call the AI apprentice certification, right? So there's that, and yeah, this is basically like what we've been selling as office hours. It's just a reskin of office hours, right? People can come every week with their questions open, where they have not just questions, but they bring real examples. That way it's not just random discussion, but that way we look at, basically it's based on MAA, right? If you've done your MAA, then you can come to office hours and we can look over your MAA and troubleshoot that. Not just like, I have a question. What do you think about TikTok ads? No, it's, you're doing your MAA, but you're stuck at some point, then let's actually examine exactly what you're doing. If you've not done your MAA, you cannot come to office hours. Well, these guys don't provide any support. I haven't heard from them. When was the last time you submitted that Friday MAA? You haven't submitted it? Well, there's nothing to look at. It's only as good as what you put into it, right? That's what happens in a proper coaching program, right? So you tell the parents, hey, if your young adult is motivated, they understand they have to take steps along the way. They're not doing it all by themselves, but as long as they take steps, we'll look at it, we'll help them. But we're not just, if they haven't done anything, we're not here to babysit or motivate or, oh, you can do it. Like, we're not there to do that, right? They take action, they get stuck because of the pixel, they get stuck because they don't have to, like, whatever it is, we can troubleshoot exactly where they're stuck here. Oh, they boosted a few posts, they're having trouble determining which one's a winner, or the click-through rate's too low, or like, okay, we can troubleshoot why, do analysis and troubleshoot why that is. And usually it's something very easy because they didn't even make the 1-minute video, because they didn't even update the location service page using the AI tools. Like 99% of the time it's because they didn't take action. It's not because they did bad action, it's because they didn't do the thing, right? And I know this from 30 years of seeing this thousands and thousands of times. So that's why the whole, interactive sequence thing. So this whole like, oh, welcome to the, to this thing, and then here's a trigger email, and they do this, or they don't do this, and then there's a warning, and then there's like this whole path, of all the different paths that they can go, and then all of these are trying to get them back onto the path. If they're not on the path, we're, oh, you didn't do this, and we try to push them back onto the path. All these little warnings, like, hey, all that motivation, all that, oh, I noticed you started the $1 a day course, but you didn't finish. Or you watched this one video, but you didn't do this, you didn't do that, right? That's the kind of thing that we can automate through SPP, through the interactive video, through all these other things. That way we don't have to babysit or do any of that. That way our value is mainly, like, the dentists come in, troubleshoot, very easy to troubleshoot because they didn't do something, because whatever their excuse was, they were sick, their laptop broke, they were on vacation, like, okay, I got it, right? But they usually didn't do the thing. And they didn't do the thing often because they don't understand the thing. They didn't understand the thing because they got deer in the headlights, and it was a month ago, and then we had to chase them 5 times, and like, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. So today, I think we can make videos against any of these components. The message to the young adults that want to be an AI apprentice, or whatever you want to call it, how much money they can make, what it takes, the mistakes we see along the way, how do you become a Henry, Jack, or Dylan, why do we have these relationships over here and over here, messages to the parents, messages to these local service businesses on how, we've got these trained young adults, they're getting certified, and only when they're certified do we allow them to touch your stuff. All other agencies out there, they're hiring random people from Pakistan. Actually, the majority of agencies are just subbing the work, which is called white label. They're just subbing it to these other random companies. And those other companies, called white label agencies, charge $100 per month per client. So if I create an agency, I got 30 clients, I'm going to pay 30 times 100 to someone else to run the Facebook ads or do the ads. So the agencies, most of them, they don't even know how to do the work because it's just salespeople, and they just sub out the work, and it's terrible. The results are horrible. But they use software that sends out these weekly reports to make it look like things are really good. There's a lot of deception going on. I hate to say that, but there's a lot of good Christian men. They love their families. They go to church and all that kind of stuff, but their thing is a scam. It's just, and I've audited hundreds of these, and these people, they get all mad, like, oh, I'm not a scam. I'm an honest Christian man, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and blah, 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 and people love me, and I take care of my people, and, how dare you, like, metrics analysis action, just like, flax audit, all these, it's the same thing over and over again. Like, almost every single, this is not even like once in a while, like almost every single time it's one of those. It's the level of corruption and the amount of, like, garbage in the swamp is insane. Like, there's almost no one honest out there.
Do you see two things? Do you see the parents paying their young adults on top for the
they can set up
results
bonuses.
they provide?
They should.
Should we set up guidelines for that, or
Yeah,
they
we should.
just decide that?
We should. We could say, here's a recommendation. Mm-hmm. So we're providing the infrastructure, a certification, but if Johnny gets A's going to Harvard, I'll buy you a car, right? If you have this GPA, or if you increase my business by 10%, and 10% is an easy thing. It's like a tithe. If the business is already doing, say, $100,000 a month, and they literally implement the basic things like repurposing things and making videos like we did for Flax and all that, they should easily be able to get 10%. Running the local service ads, easily 10%, right? And that way they have an easy win. That way they can talk good, that the young adults and the parents can talk good about our program. Everyone's feeling good. The business owner, the parent, is paying their son or daughter out of the increased profit, and so they're very happy. And we have a lot of examples of that. The trouble is those examples are all me providing tutoring to these people. You know, I've documented it, I've recorded it, but you know, I've proven that this is very possible and it's not hard to do. Just like you see us when we demonstrate how to use these AI tools, it literally takes minutes. But we chase months and months and months. These people, you know, they don't do anything, right? It's actually very easy to do. We can fix the whole website in an hour, right? Just by running through the AI. If you have the GCT and you understand what that business does, then super easy, super fast. Just like we can change our own landing pages for when they come in to apply, for like all these little things along the way. Like, it's very easy for us to do. It's just the biggest gap is the lack of understanding. Lack of understanding usually leads to them ghosting us, which then creates reliability issues, or they have a reliability issue, which ties into the lack of understanding issue, and those two reinforce each other, creates an issue, right? Slows the team, weakest link, that whole thing.
Amazing.
So this is all measurable. We built a dashboard that goes across this entire thing, that pulls in all the stats. I'll log in and show it to you if you want to see it.
I'd love to see it.
We spent a lot of money on engineering, but this is the big picture.
Yeah.
If you see the big picture, then none of these other things, like if you don't know the big picture, any one of these things looks random. It's like, oh, Dennis sends me all these random emails. I have no idea what they are. They're all random. Like, no, they're not. This two-sided network, you know, the riders and the drivers, you need both sides to make the network work.
Yeah.
But unlike an Uber, you become a driver, there's no upward path. You just drive your car and that's it. And you know, us, there's advancement. You're improving your skill. Like with the driver, there's no improving your skill once you're an Uber driver, right? So that's the main difference. And you're going to make a lot more than whatever an Uber driver makes, right? As you know personally from all the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And the opportunity and how, you know, the real certification in a world where there's no certification and everyone is a social media AI expert, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I've gotten all that before. It's just nice to see it all in one place.
And any one of these things, I can point to articles. I've got them open right now on my laptop as different tabs, explaining any of these things to go into more detail. So this is all thought out. It's actually just the 9 triangles. This whole thing is just the 9 triangles over and over again.
I know you said you have videos on all of this, but what is, like, I was a little confused about the digital plumbing. What is that like?
Digital plumbing is all the tracking, conversions, the pixels, all the data put together in the right way. We have a whole course on it.
Okay.
Digital plumbing is, you should go through it, learn how to do it. I think you were on with David when Daniel was going through digital plumbing for David, right? Getting access to all this stuff, and that's all part of digital plumbing. We have a whole checklist, the certification for digital plumbing. And most business owners that have worked with us, especially the big ones that are performance driven, they say of all the stuff that we teach, digital plumbing and MAA are, this is not me saying, this is them saying, and we got them saying it on video, digital plumbing is the most amazing, powerful thing. And they wonder, like, why don't other businesses get their digital plumbing first? They're so busy chasing the latest whatever, but they forget about, because if you don't have the digital plumbing, just like we've told Flax and all them, you have no idea what's going on with your marketing. You don't know what to optimize. You're just shooting in the dark. So everyone should learn digital plumbing, because if you're doing anything in here, anything that you're doing, you've got to be able to measure the impact of that. So you're putting out articles for Flax, or we're running local service ads, we're doing whatever, okay? Do you know how many phone calls that's driving? Maybe. Let's say you have that, and we have it recorded through CallRail. Do you know how much incremental patient revenue that is? Maybe you don't. Well, digital plumbing is how we can tie it all together. With digital plumbing, we can prove ROI, then we can make adjustments in here. You can't do analysis and proper action unless you have proper metrics, which require digital plumbing, which is the first phase of the 6-phase thing. We have a whole course on how the 6 phases fit together, which you should look at.